All right, we are at 3:01, and we will get our meeting underway. This is the Human Rights Commission meeting of the City of Palm Springs, Monday, December 9th, and we are right at 3:01. So to start off, we will have the mission statement of the commission, and who would like to read it for us this week or this month? I think Commissioner Ames, you did it last month, didn't you?
The month before, but I'll go ahead and do it for the
Okay,
next one. So.
practice makes perfect.
Absolutely. City of Palm Springs mission statement.
The second one.
The second.
There
Oh,
you
sorry. The mission of the Palm Springs Human Rights Commission is to promote and protect the diversity of our community and to improve human relations through education and community awareness.
Excellent, thank you very much.
And you do have a quorum.
And we have a quorum. Beautiful. Any person who wishes to speak on a topic within the city's jurisdiction during this portion of the agenda must file a speaker card with a staff liaison before that portion of the agenda is called. Although the commission values your comments pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Commissioners will not enter into a discussion with speakers, but during commissioner comments may refer the matter to staff for report and recommendation at a future commission meeting. Dale, do we have any speaker
There are
comments?
no cards.
All right. That moves us right along to item 5, approval of minutes that are in the packet today. We have minutes for October 4, November 18. Any comments on either set of minutes? Then I'll entertain a motion that we approve the minutes as presented for both October 14th and November 18th.
I'll move that we approve the minutes, please.
First and seconded by Commissioner Randolph. Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Minutes are approved as presented. On to item 6, Commissioner comments. We'll start with Commissioner Flood.
I have nothing at this time.
Coming around the table.
No comment.
I guess I can comment on the fact that I attended the city's all boards training along with Commissioner Flood, and it was Monday, a week ago today, and it was a really good session, a good speaker, and some really good information for people on boards. It was about soft skills, and in 6 months, I believe, or thereabouts, we will have another orientation on the Robert's Rules of Orders and those harder skills that go with commission attendance. So
Have they given a date on that?
they said March, but I don't think that there was an
Have you
actual
heard? Okay.
date. And I don't know if the same presenter is going to do it. She was actually really good, so hopefully she will.
On that subject, if whoever is sending it out to the rest of us, the email I got, you couldn't look at the presentation. It was just the first page. Did anyone else experience that?
I was going to ask him for the link. Were you talking about the link to the video?
Yes.
Okay. So can we get the link that it is supposed to be available so we can watch it? Okay, coming around, Commissioner Ames. No, I have it.
Nothing to report on. Thanks.
Nothing?
Okay, beautiful. And I, too, would like to thank Commissioner Flood and Commissioner Andrade for attending the session that took place. And once we do get the link, I encourage everybody to, in our spare time, to check it out when time allows. Dale, do you have anything you'd like to?
No, thank you.
Welcome back. We appreciate your presence. Glad to have you back. We've missed you something fierce.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Okay, next up we have item 7, our guest speaker. And originally we were going to have the assistant superintendent, Dr. Signoret, with us, but we also have a school board member from the Palm Springs Unified School District, Tim Wood. So if we could have both our speakers come forward so we get the best of both worlds, the superintendent's office and a representative from the board. So we got, the invitation was extended after our meeting last month for to have somebody from the school board come and speak with us and share background on how the school board is affecting laws that are in place for protections of our students. And I reached out to the superintendent, and she very quickly responded that most definitely they would certainly like to come and be a part of a briefing with the commission. And that's when she let me know that Tony was going to be coming in her place. So I will turn it over to you, and we've got, I know the invitation said 10 minutes, but we have time that we can, as the time that you need. So, go ahead. Just make sure our button is on the speaker, and you're good to go. There you go.
Mr. Wood, would you like to open?
Sure. Good afternoon, Chairman DeHart, other commissioners. It's nice to see you all today. I had the good fortune this last week of going to the California School Board Association's conference down in San Diego. And that conference included a session on LGBT students and the different laws that have been passed. It was put on by Equality California, who's been instrumental in helping pass all the laws in California that are around protections for our LGBT youth. And it was interesting to sit with other school board members from around the state and superintendents from around the state and just hear how things are going for them too. And if you're not aware, there's a survey that was done by Equality California over the last year. It surveyed all 343 school districts in California. It's all self-reported, so of course you have to sort of take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But it breaks down the responses into 3 categories. These school districts are doing really great at implementing the laws and putting in practices that are good for LGBT students. A second tier of these school districts are making great progress. They're doing all the right things. They have some ways to go. And then a third tier of these probably need some help in getting more processes in place to help our LGBT youth. And it was, to hear how Equality California has gone about this process was really nice because their intent is not to try to force things down anybody's throat. What they're trying to do is put practices in place, give suggestions to school districts, show them where there are opportunities and where there's a roadmap, if you will, for how to best support. And it was interesting, to hear your mission statement. But that support piece is really what they're after, is how do we support those kids, right? And I think that's what we all want, is to see those kids get great support in not just the schools, but in our communities as well. And Palm Springs falls into the second tier. I think that, again, it's all self-reported, so you can go onto their website and look at the report for yourself and see how we answered every question and see where we have opportunities. And I think that one of the interesting things for me being an LGBT board member at the Palm Springs Unified School District was to see sort of the experience that our kids are having today, and in some ways always contrasted sort of with my experience growing up as well. And I think that what was helpful in the conversations with other school districts is what you hear consistently is what I also hear at our school district, which is the laws are good, they do the right things, they are very supportive, they are all the places where we want to go, but they also don't come with the additional resources to implement them. And so when you talk about having mandatory teacher training, professional development classes, additional in-service days, and things like that, and yet there's no allocation of funds to make those things happen, it's difficult to get everything done all at once, right? And so I think that's why you see a progression of districts from one end to the other, of some folks have been able to get a little bit farther, a little bit faster than maybe where we are today. It is useful to note that that top tier has only 22 school districts in it. So there's only really 22 districts that are moving at a much faster clip than where I would say we are. I think we're at the top end of our next tier, and by the way, there's only 80 school districts in that tier. And then everybody else falls behind us out of those 343. So I think we're in a really good spot. I think we know what the right roadmap is, and Dr. Signoret is going to share with you what our roadmap is, not just sort of the bigger picture I tried to share, but specifically, what are we doing within our district, and how are we managing through that roadmap to get into that top tier? So with that, I'll turn it over to
Thank
Dr.
you.
Signoret.
Thank you. So actually, what I brought for the commission is some information. I'm sorry. I apologize. What I brought for the commission is, I know because based on the email we received, Ron mentioning about some data gathering. So I brought some data for you, some information. So if I may, I'd just like to pass this around. It's a packet here for each one of you. And I'll just wait till that comes around. And if you just open that up.
Can you tell us where the top tier schools are? You're talking about in the whole state, right?
We are. I can give you 3 examples.
Please.
One is San Francisco Unified. One is
Surprise.
Laguna. Yeah, right. One is San Francisco Unified, or Laguna Beach Unified. Again, surprise, or not. The third one is, and that's Visalia. And Visalia is sort of Central California, sort of in the heart of our breadbasket, if you will. And it was a surprise to see them there, but they've really made great strides. And I think what that says, as we talked about it last week, is that, look, this can be done. This is not hard stuff. This is stuff that needs to be done. As I thought about us, and I thought about Laguna Beach and San Francisco, and I thought to myself, let's face it, we're really more aligned with those 2 school districts in terms of our community. And I thought, we can do better, right? And I think that, as you're going to hear, we're moving it quickly. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so within your packets, and especially just starting off with this first sheet, what I try to break it down is just in a very simple manner so I could share that with the commission, although I don't want to pretend that this is all inclusive. And also give the caveat that I'm not the expert in all of these areas, simply because I do oversee the Human Resources Department. Many of these are instructional services, student support services initiatives. So I could speak somewhat to it, but if the commission would like further information, I can provide that for you, okay? So first, the way I want to just break it down is that some of the things that we currently have in place that are in progress, and most importantly, the California Healthy Youth Act is the first one. That is integrating a lot of the sexual health education into our programs. As a matter of fact, one of those programs, the Teen Talk, includes LGBTQ content that's integrated per the act, and that's a part of that. So within your packet, you're going to see the actual PowerPoint, and that's this one here. This PowerPoint is the presentation that's going to be shared with the school board, as a matter of fact, tomorrow night. And I want to speak about that in just a moment. But this is one of the most important initiatives that we're starting right now as well. On the prevention and support aspect, we also have Boo to Bowling. I invited Dimitri Halkides and my daughter, Solange, and not only for moral support, but also because they have been actively involved with Buddha bullying. To put it simply, and you have some brochures and information in your packet as well, but Buddha bullying has been brought in an assembly format to all of our campuses. And a lot of it's student-led, and Solange has been actually one of the ones that, with Dimitri's guidance and mentoring, has introduced this program really to help educate our children on how to deal with issues. LGBTQ issues are at the core of that. And they've brought, a lot of that is embedded into their presentations as well. And I want to make another reference to them in a moment as well. In addition to that, we have other prevention and support systems in place. Our secondary sites have GSAs, which is Gay Student Alliances, student-led. We have equity ambassadors. Our counselors at the secondary schools have also been trained in LGBTQ issues and how to support our students. And also, we've received a lot of support locally from the center. And I'm sure I don't need to share more with the commission. You're quite familiar with the center, but they have provided a lot of support, in particular on suicide prevention with our students. As far as the laws and policies in place, I know it's probably been overkill, but I provided all the recent board policies and ARs that may cover or pertain to issues relative to LGBTQ protections for students as well as personnel. We have recently updated many of those. In particular, you can see, and I put here on this front sheet, the actual dates when those were updated for your reference. I want to point out there's a couple in there. I know that the question that came from the commission was mostly based on students, but we also have personnel involved in that as well. We had a lot of some of ours that have been most recently updated is that they were in the hands of the Office of Civil Rights. They were looking at giving us feedback, and so that was like about a year process. Once we received that, then the school board with Mr. Wood's leadership, we recently had those board approved just a matter of days ago. So those have been updated, but that was over a year-long process with those particular ones. But again, just highlighted those. If you flip this page over on the back side, you'll see also that we have several anti-bullying policies and practices in place through our student services department. And I attached those for you as well. Those are in the back of the packet behind everything of the board policies. But things that are extremely important for students, and you'll see, and I gave you a screenshot of where Student Services has those listed. When you go into these tabs, not only does it allow for students to report concerns, and many of these are LGBTQ issues that present concerns for our kids, but also resources for those families and those students is also available there. And then you can see Student Services provides these as multiple resources. So again, don't want to go through each one of them, but you have them there at your fingertips if you want to look through that a little bit more. So with that said, and also, and our counselors have also have at their disposal many LGBTQ resources for them as well. I'm going very quickly because I know our time is short, but the one main thing that is that my buzzer that I have to stop?
That is short.
That is, okay. So just very, very quickly, just as far as support from the commission, one of the things that would like to highlight, I listed several, and this is, again, not to be all-inclusive, but just a couple of ideas. Build and strengthen the relationship with the Human Rights Campaign, with HRC, because we're aware of a Welcoming Schools program that they have available. We're thinking that a collaboration between Buddha Bullying and the Human Rights Campaign and the Welcoming Schools program might be an initiative. And I'm not pretending to say I have the exact details on how that could look, but it seems to mesh quite well. And some support in getting that put together would be a wonderful start, because also the Welcoming Schools program also has, if you go on their site, has several LGBTQ books and resources that are age appropriate for kids. Again, I'm not saying let's go out and get the money, but start exploring some options and bringing welcoming schools, again, in collaboration. And I know that, and I also brought, again, Solange, because she was at the National Lobby Day in Washington, D.C. over the Equality Act. Many HRC members spoke to her about, let's bring in welcoming schools into Palm Springs. And getting that initiated would probably be a great additional step for us. Also, I recommend bringing in our principals to speak with the commission, giving them their insight as to ways that the city could possibly help, in particular at the secondary level. GSA support with their publicity and fundraising. These are oftentimes student-led groups on the campuses, but receiving some mentoring and support from the commission might be a great way to go. Tomorrow night, I know, again, as I mentioned, the California Healthy Youth Act is being shared, and you have the PowerPoint that'll be introduced tomorrow night. The reality is there's going to be some folks that are against it. And there's going to be some folks that may, again, I don't know it to be true, but may show up and speak against it and directly to the Board of Education. Having a community out there to support us on that endeavor tomorrow night would be welcomed and appreciated. So wanted to share that as well. And then as far as legislative updates, I shared some of the recent ones that we have as far as board policies and ARs, and I had my staff go through it. We have, they did the count of how many we have. We have 633 board policies and ARs for roughly for the school district. Currently, we've contracted with Gamut to do an audit to make sure that any that we have over the past 10 years, are they current? And do we need to add any? So we're working with them, but also we're asking for anybody else, the commission, anybody in the city, if you see areas that would like to recommend, we're definitely open to that. We don't want to presume that we know it all or have everything in place. What I can tell you with 100% confidence is that Palm Springs Unified is doing everything possible to welcome and support our LGBTQ youth, without a question. And that's something we're working very hard on. I know there's been a source that has brought that into question, but I can guarantee you that we're definitely working extremely hard on all ends and in multiple areas. And we take this issue extremely seriously. That's why I think both of us wanted to commit to this and not only be here in front, but volunteer. We were the ones who raised our hands and said, we want to be here and speak to you as well. And I know that so did Dimitri and Solange. They wanted to be here as well to support. And so, anyway, I'll wrap up. Hopefully I didn't go too far over.
No, perfect.
Okay.
Any questions from the commission?
Not from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi. Is it the national HRC that you're trying to partner with, or the California group of people?
Well, when we attended in March, it was the national, correct? We did the lobby, and but I know that we have our local chapter here.
Right.
And it was with the local chapter that they were talking about bringing welcoming schools. Is that correct?
That's great. And I commend you, I don't know who came up with it, but Boo to Bullying is great, great. Very nice, Dimitri, very nice.
One of the issues that I believe caused us to invite you today was a concern that's actually in the reverse of what we're talking about, I believe, was where a teacher is being bullied for their LGBTQ status, and not so much the student population, but an actual teacher on campus. Are you aware of that? Can you speak to that for us?
Well, yes, I'm aware of it, and unfortunately, being that it is a personnel-related issue, I can't. I'm not at liberty to share that. What I can tell you is that again, when speaking about a source, is in the reference, but highlighting that LGBTQ issues are a top priority. We would not discriminate over that period. I can reassure the commission about that. So without being able to get into particulars about this particular and isolated incident, or allegation, I should say, I can reassure you that that is not reflective of who we are as a district, nor our philosophy, nor what we're trying to cultivate with our students.
Are the same.
Did you want to mention anything to? I'm sorry, Fran.
Go ahead.
If I could, I would say, so I'm relatively new on the board there. It's only been about a year, and that's not been my experience within the district. What I can tell you is that and many people would say, you're on the Board of Education, you're not going to have necessarily the same experience as a teacher. But I can honestly say that when I look at our community, and I look at our community having a entire city council that's LGBT, right? We've got a huge proportion of our population that's LGBT. We've got principals, teachers, administrators within the school district that are LGBT. It really, I mean, we at the Harvey Milk Breakfast this year, we had a student from Cathedral City High School get up and talk about his experience, how when he got bullied, it was the football team that chased the bully, right? Because that's sort of the culture within our school district, right? I would say that that's not the environment that I experience.
Okay, thank you
Yeah.
for that. And I guess my question, though, is that are the same protections in place for staff as for the student body?
Absolutely, yes, they are. And to kind of piggyback on what Mr. Wood just shared, we do have many LGBTQ staff members that up and down our ranks, and we have, and they've been here for several years, I mean, decades. And again, just not reflective of who we are. We've been able to retain and support so many valuable members of the fabric of our district. So we wouldn't be able to do it if we didn't have these protections, and also if we were not implementing them in a manner that would offer them the same protection. So the answer to you is yes. That was a long-winded answer to you. Yeah, that is yes.
Thank you.
Hi, my question is for you guys. Do you guys share like the data of maybe incidences that occur throughout the district, so people can kind of help evaluate how we're doing with bullying or those type of things?
Yeah, so student services, again, is not, I can't speak a lot of detail about that since it doesn't fall within my department, but student services does provide, as a matter of fact, and also shared with the school board on our California dashboard that kind of gives a grade to the entire district. And bullying, suspensions, expulsions, all of that data is a part of that aspect. So yes, we're very transparent about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would say part of it is in the report that's online. It's called safesupportiveschools.org, and that's the Equality California results from all the surveys that were done of all the school districts in California. It shows you every answer to every question that we were provided data on as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Point two of this support, where there's a possibility of having principals come, is a great idea. There is an application on our page for student reps. We have tried hard now for about 2 years, to get our 2 vacancies filled. We've gone about it in different ways, trying to get in to the high school in particular. without any success, and we still have our 2 vacancies, it is very important to this commission that we have youth on it. So if there is anything that you can do to encourage students to apply at the high school level or the middle school level, that would help us and help you. And the previous students who came would share about events on campus, and we've talked about too how working with the GSAs could be a good thing too. So those applications are on our page. If you can encourage.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think I could probably get you as a matter of fact, I probably can get you an application tonight.
I was wondering that,
I
yes.
think I could
So
do that,
just apply and, yeah,
Yes.
okay?
Okay, glad to support you on that, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Excellent, and thank you for your questions. And I know, we're running short on time here, so maybe if I can ask that we can do a follow-up with one of the key questions that we had posed to the superintendent, and that's if you could share very specifically the successes and challenges that the school district is facing on implementing the CES law, the Fair Education Act, along with the School Success and Opportunity Act. So if we could do a follow-up, even by email, if we can get that information on, what is the district facing with those challenges on implementing those 3 key laws, okay?
Yeah, and I'll be glad to follow up, I think best via email. As a matter of fact, for example, and I'll just speak very briefly, the Fair Education Act through our social science program is already, there's already a plan in place. It's an implementation that with a training that's going to be done district-wide will be initiated in January. Well, excuse me, introduce the principles in January, then for full implementation at that point in time. So I could get you those
Beautiful.
specifics,
Excellent.
as well as with CES laws. All of these, there are already current issues, plans in place. I'll be glad to follow
Yeah,
up via email.
perfect.
Okay.
I appreciate it. And thank you both for being with us. We appreciate it. And I did share with the superintendent that we would be inviting other stakeholders to come and brief the commission also. And I love the idea of having high school principals. So maybe we add a principal to that list of future folks to come and brief us. So thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. And we've got plenty of follow-up reading material. So, excellent, thank you. Okay, next up, we have items for discussion. We've got actually, we're not going to go through all the committees unless there's something specific for the committee to report. So you see the list of items 8A. If you've got anything on your committee that you would like to report, please let me know right now, and the microphone will be yours. If we have none to report on committees, I will do a quick update. Our staff liaisons updated the human rights calendar for the commission, and that is in your packet today, along with the meeting schedule for 2020. The copy is included in everybody's packet, and an updated roster, which hit me when Commissioner Ames was asking for my telephone number the other day. Realized that we needed an updated roster, and staff was able to put that together for us. So now we all have all the information from one another, and there's no reason that we can't call and holler at each other if needed. Okay, if we're done with items 8A, 8B, we're on to 8C, Human Rights Day. Commissioner Andrade.
I didn't realize we were going to jump ahead, so just real briefly, I just want to update where we're at with the film, is that we're in the searching phase. I have asked the Palm Springs International Film Festival community liaison to meet with me. I'm going to bug him again this week. He has not, and we're getting closer and closer to the festival. So I just need his guidance and support in finding the correct film. Harold and I also have been discussing about what type of film we want, and he's thrown a few ideas my way. So the subcommittee is certainly working on it, and as soon as we have a film, we'll let everyone know.
Okay. Now we're back on Human
We're
Rights
back.
Day.
Okay. I'm going to pass those around for you. Thought it was kind of a appropriate thing. There's a couple of things here. Let me just start with my little statement that tomorrow, December 10th, is the 71st commemoration of Human Rights Day. You'll remember last year at this time, if you were on the board, that we did have the City Council do a proclamation in recognition of the day every year. We celebrate all our inalienable rights and freedoms, including a right to education, a decent living, health care, and a right to live free from any form of discrimination, among others. Despite the efforts to protect them, the hostility toward human rights and those who defend them continues to rise. Human Rights Day advocates for everyone to stand up for their rights and those of others, civil, economic, political, and cultural rights. Additionally, the day aims to enlighten us about how our rights are a foundation of any sustainable development and peaceful society. So, I did this little quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm going to have to share my own, because I thought it was actually pretty cool, and you can read it yourself, but I'm going to read it just for the record. Where, after all, do universal human rights begin? In small places, close to home, so close and so small that they cannot be seen on any maps of the world. Unless these rights have a meaning they have little meaning anywhere. Without concerted citizen action to uphold them close to home, we should look in vain for progress in the larger world. And I think that's an appropriate quote for human rights. And I had asked on really short notice last week if Christy Holstage, who was still the liaison to our commission, if she could make mention. And I know it was a really busy council night with appointments and new seats and everything else, but she was gracious enough to do it. So if you didn't see it, staff was gracious enough to do a little clip for us so we can see it here.
To issue a proclamation. December 10th is National Human Rights Day, and to celebrate that in Palm Springs, since we have an incredible Human Rights Commission that does important work on human rights and civil rights for all in our city. And so on their behalf, I'd like to request that we issue a proclamation to honor them and National Human Rights Day in the city of Palm Springs and our commitment to protecting and promoting fundamental rights and freedoms for everyone in our city. Just one other announcement, unless you're...
Okay, and that was it. Okay, with that, I probably made a mistake here because we did do the proclamation last year. I thought that it was sort of an evergreen thing for any day that in the future, in perpetuity. But Christy mentioned a new proclamation. I didn't think we needed that. I did talk to somebody from the city and say, oh, no, I don't think we need another one. But then, Ron, you think we need one. annually, is that correct? Or did I misunderstand you too?
No, a proclamation would be annually for a very specific date and purpose.
Okay, okay, so we need one every December 10th for Human Rights Day.
If the commission chooses to acknowledge that in
Okay.
that formal way,
Okay.
then we would, in the months leading up to December 10, maybe we could calendar it like in October 1.
Okay.
Then we do a formal request to council with the proclamation, suggested proclamation.
Okay.
Which may be very specific to the year 2021. And then submit that to council to go through the process. And then it can be formally acknowledged at council meeting, by all the city councils or by city council members. And then we can have a presentation or speakers come and participate at the commission meeting so we can share more information with our audience in a broader scope.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I thank you for that clarification, and, maybe we could have had something a little bit more formal here had I known that in advance, and I didn't ask you, but we got some acknowledgement, so that's good. Thank you.
And then, I'm sorry, again, if we can jump back to the Finance Committee. So Dale was kind enough to print out one copy of this. I'll scan it and send it to everyone else so you can look more detailed. But it's reflecting in the year 19 and 20, our $2,000 budget, plus it hasn't rolled over yet, but it will, the $1,123.95 from last year's film screening will be rolled over into our budget. And then we've spent a little bit of money this year on our name badges and name plates. Beyond that, we haven't. But I'm trying to get ahead of the curve, meaning the next parade we have would be Black History Month, February 22nd, 2020. So we discussed some time ago, and it was different commissioners on the Finance Committee with me, of buying Palm Springs Human Rights Commission bracelets to hand out at parades. So I'm going to work with Commissioner Ames on finding them, designing them, and ordering some if no one objects. And then the other thing is we need to discuss, and we can put it on the calendar for next time, is whether we're going to use half of the $2,000 budget for the Harvey Milk Diversity Breakfast sponsorship. So perhaps next time we can discuss those items. And now I won't be going back anymore.
Are you sure? Let's see, do we have any other line items with your name on them? Okay, all right. So just to double check, are there any other updates on item A from any of the subcommittees? Because I'm not calling them out by individually.
I do have a comment. I don't know if it's appropriate here, but Nikki, since you brought up the Black History Parade, I did get from the city the application to participate in the parade. It's due February. We've got time because it isn't until February 29th. But there's an expense associated, I guess, with that to pull the permit. Is that correct?
No.
There is none, okay. All right, so then the other piece of that is the offer to have a table or a booth. Informational non-food booths are $200 for the event. So we might want to think about whether we want to do something like that, maybe talk about that at another meeting or next meeting or something like that.
Next meeting,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, okay.
So then, can I just piggyback on parades, because I've been meaning to talk about that. At the Pride Parade, Glenn and I actually had to get somebody else to help us because at that time we didn't figure out how to tape the pole together. So we actually had a person that I'm friends with. I grabbed her at the last minute to help us walk. If we're thinking about having a booth, I would think that more importantly, we have to talk about our presence in parades because it's still an ongoing issue. And I do understand that not everybody can do that walk. I do. But we just have to figure out what we're going to do, because when there's a presence of two, but there's there's quite a few of us, maybe we look at alternative transportation or something so that there's a presence, because I happen to think that, especially in that parade, people always like that we are there. And I think that that's important to them. So if we could all think about ideas to figure out how to go about our ongoing challenge with our presence, because I know that we have challenges that are true. Okay?
Yep, I think, it's an age-old topic, but we have already had commitments from our commission to march in the Black History Parade. We have not had on the table that we will have a booth. I'm moving forward submitting the application based off of previous commission meetings where we've committed to march in the parade. So if I'm hearing today that we're not committed to march in the parade, then I will not submit the application this week. So can we get thumbs up that we are able and available to march on February 22 at,
Is it February 22 or February 29?
22nd.
no, you know
No,
what? I think it's
29.
29.
It's 29.
It is the last Saturday.
Yes, it's on the,
All right. So we
I'm
will
almost
fix that on the
positive it's the
calendar.
last, it is the last Saturday. But it's normally at 10,
leap year.
So not
11?
the same as Pride, we have to be.
Yeah, 10 and 11. So 10, 11 o'clock, very short walk. It's from Ramon, it's from Arenas to Alejo. So who do we, Commissioner Flood, I remember you saying yes. Commissioner Ames and Commissioner Chappelle. So we've got 4. So I will submit, you're walking with us? I thought I saw your hand raised.
Yeah.
We can have a wagon for you.
Yeah.
that was gonna be my
Get
question.
2 wagons.
That's right.
I cannot march in any parade until I get my stenosis of my back diagnosed
Yeah.
and taken care of.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Can
You
we
wanna drive?
involve friends and
You wanna
family in the
drive?
parade, or?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You want to
I have a
drive?
convertible Volkswagen, and anybody wants to sit in the back and wave.
Talked about.
Yeah, because mobility shouldn't be something to
Right.
prevent us from presence. And actually, including a car will increase our presence if it's something that.
And those of us who can still walk can walk.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
front with
Yeah.
the banner if you promise not to run us over.
I'd like us to consider to be more assertive in our presence and maybe think about a float with music on it, because that's a big hit. And then that way, no one has to walk, everyone's on the float. I know it's a big undertaking, and maybe we can get friends and family to help out. Also, I want to just remind everyone that when Commissioner Morgan was here, he had that idea of getting T-shirts with all different things on the back, all different kinds of people for identity purposes. I think that's a great idea, but we'd have to plan for that and order the T-shirts. And then Commissioner Micchio was suggesting that we march with other groups so that we don't look so paltry. Anyhow, there's lots of ideas, but does that fall under the subcommittees, the marketing subcommittee?
Well, I think it actually is It could be under marketing, but we don't have a calendar chairperson at the moment. So I will submit the application so we can get it taken care of.
Okay.
And absent of having a committee, unless we have volunteers who would like to take it on to investigate doing a more enhanced entry for the parade, then I think we need to really look at 2021 parade season and potentially doing one larger decorated activity that can cover all three parades. And not something for just the Black History Parade, but going into the next season of parades, because parade season's over now, that we're
Right.
really, we're really
Right.
done with Festival Lights.
Well, I'll put it on our marketing subcommittee subject for a discussion, but there's just the three of us at the moment. Are we getting new commissioners soon? I saw your notes in here. No?
The process is all ongoing. Dale had shared that it is being advertised, but as all commission positions are being advertised, we're in transition with city council. They aren't going to appoint their subcommittees until January, I think, if I recall from the meeting. So we can expect that interview process will get back going here in the first of the year. But we need to continue to operate, whether we, in full force, whether we've got 2 extra seats or 0 extra seats. And our work can continue to be, go forward nice and strong.
Do we know which city council members will be the liaison for our commission?
It doesn't happen until January.
Okay.
So that's when they're going to take it up at the 1st of January meeting, I believe. Am I right on that? Do you know? Yeah. So the first meeting in January, I think, is when they're going to be doing their subcommittee assignments. Okay. Okay. So where are we at? Oh, 9, number 9. Okay, so here we go. We've got a handout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you cannot verbalize the handout, just look at it because it's not a public item that we're disclosing. It's just something that is going to be shared with you with Commissioner Ames, I believe, from coming out from the from the Human Rights Awards Subcommittee meeting that took place on Friday. So Commissioner Ames, I will put it into your hands.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the Community Service Award slate from the subcommittee.
Second that.
Any discussion on, even though we can't use names, you can refer to a number if you have anything that you do want to discuss. We just want to be careful since the people and entities have not been contacted. We don't want to verbalize that. So all in favor, motion's on the table to accept the slate of honorees as presented out of subcommittee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Abstentions? 1 abstain.
Who second?
Who,
Okay, thank you.
so it was brought out of committee, Commissioner Ames?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, beautiful. So next step is these will be, we'll contact the candidates, and as long as they accept, then we'll go forward, and then we will come back in at the January commission meeting and let everyone know, and the commission and publicly, who's accepted and who the slate is for 2020. And those awards are presented at the February meeting on February 11th. Agenda items for the next HRC meeting. I heard one item, the Harvey Milk sponsorship came out of this meeting. Do we need any other items for our next meeting to be placed on the agenda? Okay, did you hear of any, Dale?
The Black History
Yeah,
Month.
do we wanna talk
table,
about
or
a
is that gonna come
table,
out
or-
of one of the committees?
Well, we can talk about it. Is there support to do, because we have to submit the application. So is there support to table and coordinate the table in participating at the fair on,
I think it'd be difficult to get a float together for this year with this short of a notice, but we might want to consider doing a table at the event. Would that be something we'd talk about next time? And that can be done separately than the parade.
it actually can.
January 31st is looks like the deadline for the table.
Yep, so we will put it on the calendar for next month.
Okay.
It's good.
So whose name are we going to assign to that? Who would like to carry it forward? We don't have a committee to put it together. Not hearing a name, it will die.
Well, I guess it's me. I'll
Okay.
do it.
Okay, excellent. We are at 3:56, and the commission will adjourn to,
Wait.
Did I skip?
Going to share anything else at the end? Or did I miss my turn?
Oh, I skipped topical newsworthy items.
I have topical news.
Oh, I'm sorry, I passed right over topical newsworthy items. You're all supposed to keep me in check here. So topical newsworthy items.
Okay, on Saturday, December 14th, from 9 a.m. till 2:30 at Palm Desert Civic Park is the Desert Ability Festival. It is an event that is open to the young and the young adults and adults who have special abilities. It is a sportsy event. This is an event that is put on every year by an award winner that we had a couple of years ago, Judy May and her crew. And so it can be found through searching Facebook or online. They do ongoing things throughout the year, including most weekly bike rides in La Quinta, where kiddos and adults who have special abilities, to include veterans, if they don't have a bike, they will help them to get whatever bike is appropriate. But the event coming up, registration is still open, and it's for all kinds of events. Okay?
Excellent. Okay. Any other topical newsworthy items? All right. Sorry about skipping that. Now we are on adjournment. Commission will adjourn to adjourn regular meeting Monday, January 13, 2020 at 3 p.m. here in the large conference room at City Hall. 3:59. Thank you all.